About a type of person who walks among us, often unseen. They're called the Dark Triad personality. We're going to break down the 5 critical signs that someone might be using their playbook against you, because recognizing the game is the only way to make sure you don't become one of the pieces. Let's start with a really chilling thought, one that comes straight from psychological case studies. Right now, there is someone in your life who has already planned out how they're going to use you, and you probably didn't see it coming, not when they were making you feel like the most special person in the world. But you know that little whisper in the back of your mind, that feeling that something is just off? Well, that feeling has a name. You see, most people think a toxic person is just someone with a bad attitude, but psychology says something much, much darker. We tend to write off this kind of behavior as, a bad mood, or maybe they're just a difficult person. But what we're about to uncover isn't an accident. It's not a flaw. It's a design. It's an engineered predatory pattern of behavior, one that's been perfected over a very long time. And that pattern is called the Dark Triad. It's a specific profile for some of the most dangerous personality types out there. These are people who have mastered human nature not to connect with others, but to conquer them. And I promise you, once you learn to spot this profile, you'll start seeing it everywhere, from the pages of history to maybe, just maybe, someone you know. But before we dive into the signs, I want you to hold a question in the back of your mind through this whole explainer. What is the one thing they want from you? Something so vital to your being that they will literally dismantle your life to get it, precisely because they can never, ever have it for themselves. We'll come back to that. So, to spot the signs on the outside, we first have to understand what's going on inside. We need to look at their internal blueprint. Think of it like the architecture of a predator's mind, the framework that makes them so chillingly effective. So, how is a mind like this built? And look, a quick but really important disclaimer here. What we're doing is for self-protection, not for diagnosis. This is about seeing the patterns so you can keep yourself safe. The Dark Triad itself is built on 3 pillars that work together in perfect, terrifying harmony. First, you have narcissism. This is their motive. It's that bottomless pit of hunger for admiration, that feeling that they are entitled to everything. Second, Machiavellianism. This is their strategy. It's a cold, calculating, and cynical view of the world where people are just pawns to be moved. And third, you have psychopathy. This is the weapon. It's a complete and utter lack of empathy, an inability to feel remorse, which allows them to hurt people without a second thought. So when you put all 3 of those together, what do you get? You get what some psychologists call a perfect predator. They have the motive, they have the plan, and they have the cold-blooded ability to see it through. And here's the crazy part. Their tactics often work best on the most intelligent, most empathetic people. Later, I'm going to show you why even smart people fall for this, and there's one incredibly subtle sign of their work that almost everyone misses. We'll get to that. So now that we have the blueprint, let's look at how it actually operates in the real world. This is the heart of what we're talking about today, the 5 key signs you're dealing with a Dark Triad personality. And these aren't just red flags, they're calculated moves in a very old game. The very first sign often shows up in the way they argue with you, in the way they communicate. I call it the Grandmaster. Have you ever been in a conversation that just doesn't feel like a conversation? It feels more like a chess match you never agreed to play. They aren't trying to understand where you're coming from, they are playing to win. They'll twist your words, trap you in circular arguments, and just wear you down until you give up. You walk away feeling defeated, not heard. And here's the key. For them, the goal is never to find a solution. It's always, always about dominance. But this is only half the story. The second sign is all about how it begins. It feels amazing, intoxicating even. And that's the point. It's a trap, and it's called the flawless mirror. At the start, they just seem perfect, almost eerily perfect. They love all the same things you do, they share your deepest secrets, they finish your sentences. This isn't a soulmate. It's a tactic. It's called mirroring. They're literally reflecting your own personality, your own soul, right back at you. Why? To build trust, fast and deep. It gets past all your defenses because you feel like you've finally been seen. But you're not falling for them. You're falling for a beautifully crafted reflection of yourself. Of course, that perfect reflection can't hold forever. Cracks start to show. And that's when you run into the third and maybe the most chilling sign of all, the empathy vacuum. Think about your deepest feelings, your vulnerabilities. They're like a diary you keep locked up, right? You only give the key to people you truly trust. Well, when you give that key to this person, when you're sad or scared or you just need them, watch their reaction very, very closely. Someone with a dark triad personality won't meet your emotion with warmth. They'll meet it with cold logic, or irritation, or even anger. It feels like you're staring into a void where human connection should be, and it gets even darker from here.
Their control isn't just about arguments or faking a connection. No, it's about setting a long-term trap. And that brings us to our fourth sign, the web of obligation.
These people are masters of making you feel like you owe them. They'll do all these little favors you never even asked for. They'll give you gifts that feel less like presents and more like transactions. This isn't generosity, it's a strategy. Every gift is a hook. Every favor is another link in a chain. They're creating a permanent feeling of debt so that when they finally ask for something big, you'll find it almost impossible to say no.
And this brings us to the fifth and final sign, the one that is so insidious, so quiet, that it can dismantle your entire life before you even realize what's happening. This is the subtle sabotage.
See, a dark triad personality simply cannot stand you having a life or an identity outside of their influence. So very slowly, they start to sabotage it. They'll plant little seeds of doubt about your best friends. They'll make innocent comments that undermine your dreams. They'll create little emergencies right when you have a big opportunity. Your world just gets smaller and smaller and quieter until they're the only thing left in it. Stay till the end. The last point will surprise you the most. So we've seen the what, we've seen the tactics, but to truly be free of this, you have to understand the why. What is the end game here? What is the real motive behind all of this? The answer changes everything. Now here's what nobody tells you. We think they want our money, our love, our loyalty. But the truth is something so much more primal, and it's the key that unlocks this entire puzzle. Remember that question from the beginning? What is the one thing they want from you that they can never have themselves? The answer is your light, your genuine emotion, your capacity for joy, your passion, your very essence. They are hollow inside, and they see those qualities in you as a resource. They don't want to be with you. They want to be you. They want to consume you, to absorb your life force, to fill the emptiness inside of themselves. And understanding that, understanding their real motive, that's the key to your freedom. Because it stops being about what did I do wrong, and it starts being about how do I protect my own light. This is the path forward. This is the unbreakable self. Protecting yourself and healing, it all begins the very moment you stop trying to fix them, the moment you stop trying to make them understand. You can't untie this knot from their side. The only way out is to cut the cord, to turn your focus 100% back to yourself. Reclaim your friends, reclaim your dreams, reclaim your own voice. In the end, the ultimate, undeniable sign that you are dealing with a dark triad personality isn't something they do at all. It's the profound, unmistakable peace that settles over your life when they are finally gone. It's the quiet return of your own thoughts, your own future, your own self. That peace, that's the key. You know, seeing these patterns for what they are can be a really painful, but also an incredibly validating moment. Have you ever experienced this? If this resonates, tell me your story in the comments below. You might be surprised how many other people have walked this exact same path. If this made you think differently, there's a lot more coming, so make sure you subscribe because the next video we release will change how you see people forever. It will give you the tools to build a psychological fortress so that this never, ever happens to you again. Thanks for listening.